quick once this thing says recording. All right, the recording is started. All righty. Hi, guys. This is Dre with the Aim High podcast, hosted on the culturally diverse brand Multimedia Network, where you can catch the Sucio Boys podcast, the Dre Lax podcast, the Pay Window with Prof and Sloan, and the Shogun Soccer Sit Down, as well as the C.D.B podcast. This podcast specifically drops every Monday. I again am your host, Dre. This time we are joined by my wonderful friends, Sloan Kettering, A.Hun the Shogun, and our guest of honor, Mike Diehl. I hope I'm saying it right. Your last name right?
Yeah, almost. It's Diehl.
Diehl.
Oh,
He's ready to make a deal. Let's go.
Big deal. Big deal. Mike in the building.
Gentlemen, if you don't mind introducing yourself, Mike, you can definitely go first since you are our guest. Just tell the people a little bit about yourself.
All right, man. I'm Mike Diehl. I'm from Middletown, Ohio. Middletown, man. Big ups to Middletown because I love this place and it's been real good to me and made me who I am. But I'm an adaptive strongman. I have one arm, as you can see, and I got it by getting in an on-duty accident as a firefighter. And long story short, it was just a bad day, and I got crushed by a fire truck between a fire truck and a wall, and
Jesus.
they ended up having to cut my arm off. So yeah, now
I look forward to hearing more about that.
Yeah, now I do adaptive strongman, and that's why I'm here today to talk about fitness and mental health and how what I've been through can help somebody else.
I love that. Sloan, want to let the people know who you are?
They should know me by now.
Get 'em.
Hey, listen, this is your first time on this one.
I am he. I am him. Timothy.
Hey, y'all. Listen, for those of y'all that don't know, Sloan's been a frequent guest on the Dre Lax podcast, and he and A.Hun have had me as a frequent guest on the Sucio Boys podcast. Marty and him aren't going to be doing their long ass intros with the AKA.
Me podcast and Sue podcast. Sue podcast is me podcast.
And
I am Sloan Kettering. I guess I would be the co-founder of C.D.B Multimedia. I am the founder of the Sucio Boys podcast. If you bring it, I will smoke it. Dab Judah in the building. I'm not going to go through all my AKAs, but I'm here.
I love it. Hey, Hun, your turn.
Yo, A Shogun, you know what I'm saying? Co-founder of C.D.B Multimedia. One third of the Sucio Boys and host of C.D.B podcast as well as the Shogun Soccer Sit Down. So my background is in soccer. Went to school for sports administration from Middletown, Ohio as well. That's how Mike and I know each other, and I was able to kind of bring and bridge the gap, so to speak, between you and him. So I think more than anything, man, I'm just a big fan of people, and I love to clap for people. And for me, Mike is an exemplary example of someone that has overcome adversity and just with sheer willpower and belief, the things that you can do, unreal. But you really have to dial in. So I was super excited to try and bridge the gap and get you guys together. And if I can really intro Mike. All right, first of all, by way of Middletown, Ohio. Okay. People, do not dismay. This man comes with no delay. We got the adaptive world champion strongman in the building. Reggae horns, if you could, enter the chat. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
It's the custom reggae horns for me.
World champion. Do not let that go under the radar. My man went to England, okay, told him it was soccer, hard R, and then walked away with 3 gold medals. What are we talking about?
This is going to be mayhem. I can already feel it.
There we go. There we go. I'm back to it. All right. Good. Yeah. Sorry, my connection was acting weird. Yeah. So, first things first. One of my biggest questions, besides like how awesome it is to be competing like a world champion, like frequently just decimating the competition. One thing I definitely want to know more about is kind of what you can go into detail about the accident that caused you to lose your arm as much as you're comfortable talking about, but I want to mostly know like how you more or less like continued like living after that. Like,
yeah, man, it's pretty wild. So I used to be a firefighter for the city of Franklin, right next door to Middletown, Ohio, and it was like 5 a.m. We got a call. We went to some douchebag burning a mattress in his backyard and inside the city limits, and so we went out there and put it out, and we come back to the station. It's spitting rain a little bit, and trying to paint a picture, and so we're back in the truck into the bay, and I'm the guide. I'm standing outside the truck, and the driver, it's 5:45 in the morning, 15 minutes before shift change, so we're tired, and he takes a real bad angle, and long story short, nobody's fault, whatever, just a bad accident. I got pressed, by the truck. I jumped out of the way, otherwise it would have killed me, but it grabbed me by the arm, and it pinned me to the wall and snapped my arm around the corner of the wall. And after all was said and done, I'm pinned to the wall, and they pulled the truck off me, and they pulled the truck off me, and I walk up to my lieutenant holding my arm because it was dangling. It was literally like hanging there. And I walk up to my lieutenant and said, "Hey, LT, I think I broke my arm, man." Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to picture him. His face is probably like, well.
No, it was. Yeah, that's
it's
what I
more than broke, my guy.
He's over here.
Yeah,
well, what was your first clue?
Yeah, it was literally like a limp noodle hanging down from just above the elbow. But you don't see things, and you don't notice right away. But I saw his face, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" And so I tell him, "Hey, I think I broke my arm," and he's like, "Are you all right?" Because his face isn't right, and I'm like, "I don't know, but I don't feel good, man." And I laid down on the concrete floor, and I got real tired. And I've been an athlete all my whole life. I was in the military and stuff like that. But in that moment, I got real tired, and I told myself, if you go to sleep, you're gonna die. And that's a real surreal moment, to have to tell yourself. And I just decided, I'm gonna see my son tomorrow. So I got up and I picked up my arm and I walked to the ambulance.
How many?
Wait, guys. Wait. Not to be funny, but that reminds me. That reminds me of not the episode, but I was watching Talladega Nights last night. And he said, "I want to break your arm." Said, "Break it, Pepe Le Pew." He really broke it.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry.
Oh no. But what I was gonna ask was like, so the arm has to be amputated, and again, I'm not trying to tell your story for you, but I guess more or less I'm looking for what got you to not feel like this was the end of your life. Like, I mean, I know it was the end for your firefighting career, but what got you to feel like to not fall in that pit of like, life is done. I'm over, like, this is it.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of like singular, really, really important moments in my journey. I'm sure we'll go over a bunch of them, and I'm cool sharing. But like there was a moment. I used to play semi-pro and arena football. I won a national championship doing that, and I gave up my scholarship to go to BYU to join the Navy. So like I've been doing, some pretty mentally fortitude building stuff my entire life, But a doctor walked into my room and he said, we had a conversation about, where we were going and, the prognosis and stuff like that. And he basically told me, you're never going to play football again. And football's been the love of my life since I was like 2 years old. My very first memory in life is sitting on my dad's lap watching the Cleveland Browns. And I had a very early vision about where I wanted to go in life, and that was to be a college and professional football player. And when he told me I couldn't play football anymore, I literally sobbed. Me and my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but we just sobbed for about 5 minutes. And then I got like really like not angry, but just that like, no, I don't think that's what we're going to do here. That's not how my story is going to end. And I just got that moment like that. And then, when I got out of the hospital, I spent 41 days in the ICU. And then after a month and a half or so, they had to cut my arm off because they couldn't save it. It was pretty mangled, bro. They basically told me, my surgeon told me that, yeah, we can't fix it, man. And it's gonna be a 20-pound hunk of meat slowing you down, and it's gonna hurt for the rest of your life, and it's not gonna do anything. So I sat there for about 5 seconds in his office, and I said, you know what? Cut it off. I got shit to do. 10 days after they cut my arm off on July 1st, 2015, I was back in the weight room, I've got video, my first weight session, power cleaning, one arm power cleans with 145 pounds. So, yeah.
Well, look, hey, first off, thank you for sharing this with us.
Can I ask this question, Mike? And I really do. I would love to, get your insight. And I'm sure this is probably a question, Dre, you have here.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to, because maybe that might answer to Dre's earlier question in regards to what made you or got you to a place of, how did you go from, hey, this isn't the end, which, like you said, I think it was that moment of clarity where you like, I've got shit to do. So then was it just the fact that you wanted to like, I need to be active in some way, shape, or form, and this is going to help me get through this?
Yeah, man.
Like, was that the next step?
It all happened really, really quick and really fast for me. Like I said, 10 days after they cut it off, I've still got staples holding my shit together, and I'm in the weight room, But like, because of my dreams and goals when I was just such a little kid, my journey started pretty young, and my dad made sure to like make me aware of the correlation between fitness and strength and performance in athletics. So I've been working out like a maniac since I was about 10 years old, because I knew that if I'm not a really gifted athlete, I'm not talented, I'm not special, but like my dad was an airborne ranger, and what he instilled in me was just a sickening, ridiculous, maniacal work ethic. Because like, I can't control my genetics, I can't control a lot of things, but I can control how hard I work, and nobody's gonna fucking outwork me. You're just not. You may beat me because of what other things that I can't control, but you're not gonna outwork me. So I knew right away after they cut it off that I had to get back to work if I was going to be even remotely a semblance of the man I used to be. And I have a son who's really active in sports, and he is gifted and talented, but he needed me. How do I say this? Sometimes people don't need to hear a sermon; they need to see you live it. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I got to work, and the weight room, specifically the weight room, has always been my when shit's not making sense, go to the weight room. When you don't feel good, go to the weight room. When you don't want to work out, go to the weight room, because it's like my rudder, it gets my mind right when I'm not in a good place. So I knew right away that's where I had to be.
I love that. So, would you, when it comes to, I know hindsight's 2020, but when it comes to the course that your life has taken to this point, if you could go back and change any like aspect or anything about it, the accident withstanding, would you change anything?
I actually get asked that question pretty often in some shape or form or another. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about that. And human beings, you know, this may be my body, but human beings, who I am as an individual, we are a sum of our life experiences. And like before my accident, dude, I was really, really, you know, not talented, but like accomplished athlete because I worked hard and I was a firefighter and I did aesthetic bodybuilding. I did a lot of cool stuff. But because of that, like I was cocky, man. I was a douchebag, and I thought every little kid wanted to be me and every chick wanted to bang me. And the universe had to humble me, dude, because I wasn't going to do anybody else any good where I was mentally at the time. So, like, would I change it? Unequivocally, no, because who I am now is a better version of who I've always been. You know, I'm still doing the same stuff. I'm still, you know, lifting weights and being athletic and being an example, coaching kids, and but I get it now. You know, my life isn't about me anymore. You know, if you're not making somebody else's life better, you're wasting your time. So I learned from this that my life isn't about me.
Yo, that's super powerful. That really is. What would you say the most important lesson that you've learned from all of this has been?
That's a great question, man. But you know, I know there's a lot of lessons, and I know this is going to sound cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. And better, greater men than me have said it a million times, but never give up, dude. Like, it may seem bleak. You may have a lot of obstacles in your way, and you may be going through some shit. But it's impossible to be a guy that just won't give up, dude. You know, I went for the world title. You know, this was my fourth shot. I took second 3 times in a row, and finally I just doubled down and got to work. So, like, there are going to be a million people out there that tell you, no, you can't have that, or no, you can't do that, and it's up to you not to believe them. And it's just like throughout history, if you want it, you got to go take it. Nobody's going to give you shit. Nobody owes you nothing. So if you want it, go take it. And
I love that, because I tell so I've been coaching lacrosse this is year 11 now, which is crazy to think about. And then I coached wrestling for 5 years. And what I always told, lacrosse is my favorite sport. I love that. But I loved wrestling. The thing I loved about wrestling was that it's an individual sport. Like, it is, you can't blame the refs. You can't blame your teammates. There's no, you didn't block. There's no, you didn't catch the pass. There's none of that. It is just, were you better than that guy that day? And I always told my wrestlers, and I tell my lacrosse team, like, the refs aren't going to give you anything. You're not going to have anything. You owe it to yourself to show up. You have to show up for you. I can want it all damn day for you, and I do want it because I'm your coach. I believe in you, and I know you can beat anybody because I've coached you to. Yeah. But if you don't execute and if you don't do it, that's on you, and you have to live with that.
Amen, brother. And like, since I've been in sports my whole life, big time players make big plays in big games. And like, but the weight room specifically, like you're talking about, like the individual sports, like wrestling and stuff like that. Like, I love that shit. And the reason I love it so much is because the weight room doesn't lie. And like, you could be having the worst day of your life and go into the weight room, and the weight room doesn't give a shit. It doesn't care. 200 pounds is always 200 pounds. And unlike the world, who, like, there's going to be people out there that don't even know you and fucking hate you for no reason. But there's also going to be people out there that, like, blow smoke up your ass about how great you are and don't really know what it took for you to get there. But the weight room will kick you the real deal all the time, and it will humble you if you don't go in there with the right attitude. So, yeah, man, like, the weight room, and like strongman being an individual sport, like you said, you can't lie. You're either strong enough or you're not. Like, if you got 600 pounds on the bar, the only thing between you and greatness is, did you put in the work? And you can't lie. You're either strong enough to pick up the 600 pounds or you're not. And that's all there is to it.
That's almost
Mike,
exactly.
I got a question for you.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it's all good. But so how did you go from like so we're gonna try and connect the time gaps, right? So you go from, days after having your arm amputated to being back in the gym. Now, what is the next step from you to go from that? Like, I need to work because I know that when I'm confused or I'm trying to figure things out, I can go to the gym and that'll help me out. How did you go from that to being an adaptive strongman?
Well, it started because the doctor told me I'd never play football again. And I said, you know what? Like, I'm a really hard headed guy. And when somebody tells me I can't do something, well, you can bet your ass I'm going to go do that shit now. So I went back to playing semi pro football with one arm here in Ohio. And like, I went previous to losing my arm. I played on a really good team and we won a national title down in Florida against the West Texas Scorpions. And then I went to a new team after losing my arm. I took a year off, but then I went back. And my wife asked me, I still fucking remember this shit. She's like, aren't you afraid about what they're going to think about you with one arm? And I was like, it's not my job to think about, care about what they think. My job is to do my job. And that kept me centered. And so I went back to playing football. I led my team in sacks because I played defensive end. I went to the All-Star game. We went to, but lost the national championship game. And when I realized my body couldn't take the physical abuse of playing high level football anymore, for a little while there was a void there, and I got a hair up my ass one day, and I'm going to do a powerlifting meet because I've been weightlifting my whole life. So I sought out a guy, and now this guy's the GOAT, absolutely the fucking GOAT. His name's James Spurgeon, lives in Columbus, Ohio, and he has his arm, but he had a brachial plexus injury, and he doesn't have the use of his right arm just like I don't. And so I sought him out, and he coached me a little bit, and I did my first powerlifting meet, and I won, and it was awesome. But powerlifting's boring. It's just static movement,
Hey, listen, I'm a power lifter. Don't do this to us.
That's cool.
Listen, but look, I've seen, so like, not to interrupt or anything, but I have a couple of friends that compete strongman. One of my friends, her name's Katara. She's done strongman. And yeah, every time I've seen her training, like her little clips of her training or her videos, I'm like, I don't, I can't do that. Like, I don't. Well, for me, I have a surgically repaired shoulder. I was in a pretty bad car accident. My coracoid is gone. There's these two big screws here and a mini screw. My labrum and my rotator cuff are surgically repaired. My coracoid bone is back here. So yeah. I was like, yo, I don't have the physical capability to be doing strongman, but I'll give powerlifting a try. And so I did powerlifting, and I love it. Like it's my joint.
Yeah, well, no, that's really cool and all, but for me, it didn't.
It's not dynamic movement.
Yeah, it didn't do what I needed to do. It's static, So you can be big and strong, but like strongman is big and strong and move.
Yeah.
So after winning that powerlifting meet, James was like, "Look, bro, I do a sport called strongman, adaptive strongman, and I think you should get into it because I think you'd be really good." And him and I have been friendly acquaintances and then good friends for 4 or 5 years now, and we battle each other because he's still the GOAT. I'll readily admit, like I may be the world champ right now, but that dude's a bad man, and he told me, he texted me, he's like, "Congrats, bro, but I'm coming for you next year." and that's what I love about strongman is the camaraderie in the community. And like for a while there, James and I didn't really get along, two alpha males in the same room, kind of thing. And like, so strongman's my joint, dude, because I can pick up the back end of a Buick and then run with it, kind of thing. I don't just pick up the weight. I can pick it up and move. So it's really a lot more cerebral than most people think. It gives me a really good mental and physical outlet.
Yeah, like I think one of my favorite strongman like feats that I've witnessed, besides the little pick up the stone, put it over the bar and pick it up again. That thing's crazy. But I saw the clip of I think his name's Bjorn or something like that, but he played the Mountain on Game of Thrones, but he
Yeah,
has a
Thor
feat.
Bjornsson. I've met him a
Yeah.
couple of times. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he carried a tree, like 1,001-pound tree, and they say he carried like 11 steps, and I'm like, that's insane. I can't imagine. I feel like strongman, like your only limitations in strongman is your imagination.
Yeah, not only that, but like I had a really great guy ask me, like one of the foremost minds in sports psychology.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about. His name's Mike Delapava. He owns the Battle Axe Gym down in Miami, and he asked me, he's like, "What's it take to be a world class strongman?" And I sat there for a minute, and I just looked at him and with a straight face and just not joking around. I was like, "How much pain are you willing to take?" That's all it is, dude. So it's literally like, this hurts, but I'm going to keep going anyway.
So what's the training like for well, as an adaptive strongman? What's the training like?
Well, I spend a lot of time just like tweaking technique and stuff because I have to do things a little different than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I do a lot of weight room, a lot of, depending on what the events are going to be for the next comp. I do a lot of event training. So like, but my base coming from football is just a base of strength. Like I don't bench that well anymore. And in strongman, you do a lot of overhead pressing. So I overhead press a lot, but I do bench, squat, deadlift, power clean, multi-joint movements, that just make you dirty strong, snap people in half strong kind of thing,
But do you so when you compete, do you compete with I hate the term able-bodied, but do you compete with able-bodied folks?
I have, but the vast majority of the competitions I've been to are for adaptive athletes only. So
yeah, see, like I hate that term able-bodied because even though you don't have your arm, you are still more capable than I'm sure most people that like are.
Well, that's the thing, man. Some people like to use the term adaptive. Some people don't give a shit. Like I don't really care. I try to be sensitive to to other people's feelings, but like as far as terms go, I don't really give a shit.
Okay.
And most adaptive or disabled athletes don't care either because we live it every day. I get up every day and I can't tie my shoes. Who gives a shit? I can literally pick up a police card 9 times. Who cares? So, yeah, like we said, we want to be, sensitive in our modern usage of terms, but
yeah,
we don't care.
Okay.
Most of us.
Mike,
See, I'm big
I
on
got a
respect.
question for you.
Talk to me, Goose.
I got a question for you. So, what did you do differently, or what do you feel like you did differently from, like you had mentioned earlier, you went for World Strong Adaptive Strongman 3 times where you placed second.
Yeah.
What do you think was the key difference from you to go from second to third, like to bring it home all the way this year?
Like without exaggerating, dude, like I was a maniac, absolute fucking maniac for 6 months. And then for the 10 weeks going up to the event, like I was absurd. And my mental focus was so single-minded that I'd wake up in the morning, first fucking thought on my brain was, what am I going to do today to be the world champ? Every time I put something in my mouth, is that going to make me the world champ? Even like my family was starting to get sick of my shit because like I neglected them a little bit, and but they've been super supportive. But that's what it took. And like I went to the gym sometimes twice a day, 6 days a week, 2-3 hours at a time, and I just if it wasn't going to make me the world champ, I didn't give a shit. I wasn't doing it.
So in regards to that, I'd say more so, how do you like? Well, let me ask it this way, because I mean, you sound like someone that's got a lot of mental fortitude. So, what rattles you? And like, if something does rattle you, like, how do you keep from staying rattled for long?
It's really that's a that's one of the best questions I've ever gotten, man, straight up. But like, I was in the Navy. I tried to become a Navy SEAL, and I didn't make it. I got, after I didn't make it, I got sent to go be on a ship and be an electrician, which isn't really my thing. But one of the things that kind of training teaches you is that, stay in the fight, mentally stay in the fight, spiritually and emotionally stay in the fight. And like, they're not looking for guys whose muscles never fail, because everybody's going to, reach VO2 max or lactic acid buildup, stuff like that. And their muscles are going to stop working. But are you going to quit? And like, those guys don't. They're undefeated. They're the best in the world. Nobody can touch them because they just won't fucking quit. You'll have to kill them to beat them. Because if you don't kill them, they're going to kill you. And after I was in the Navy, I went to being a police officer, and I couldn't get a full-time job as a police officer, so I became a firefighter. But the underlying, theme in all of that is like, if you quit or if you fail or if you lose, people die. So you don't. You don't have time to get mentally rattled. And if you do, you better lock it in real fucking quick, or you or your teammates or somebody that depends on you is going to die. And when it's that real, it's not a game anymore. And I take that kind of mindset, and I know it sounds crazy, but I take that mindset into, my athletic endeavors. Like, yeah, it's 4th and goal on the 1 yard line, 10 seconds left, and you score, you win the game. I'm not budging. You're going to have to kill me to get in that end zone. So
yeah, that's me with cardio. Like, I hate cardio. We're not my coach has my powerlifting coach. She has me doing cardio 5 days a week at a moderate to intense level. I'm on a 0 sugar, 0 dairy diet. She like, I was at Target today, and I told her, I was like, listen, I really wanted to get these frosted mini wheats, and I really wanted to get these Pop-Tarts, but I pictured a miniature version of you on my shoulder saying, don't be a little bitch. And so I walked into the sugar-free shit, because I was like, no, but it's really hard, because like, I have days where I don't want to do cardio, I don't want to work out, I don't want to do anything. And on top of that, I'm a personal trainer, so it's really hard balancing like, hey, I've got to work out, and I still have to have enough energy to train my clients, while not shirking my responsibilities to my program, but also not doing a disservice to them. So I will say, like, that one's more of an emotional balance than it is like mental and physical. Because like, physically I can do it, and mentally I can go down the line for the program, but it's mostly having that kind of like energy and being like, okay, I'm tired, but I've got to give this person the best that I'm giving them, because they're paying for it. And if I don't, then I'm doing a disservice to them.
Yeah. Life's all about balance, man. And, but like, that's been my biggest asset, is like, I'm not a real balanced individual. So.
Yo, here's the wild thing too, is because like, I remember talking to you, Mike, right before you left for London, and I talked to him, and Dre, I told you this because I was like, I was so geeked to talk about, like, Mike, I was so geeked to tell Dre that I spoke to you, that like, I'm texting him at like 2:30, like, oh man, I can't wait. Oh, you have no idea who we're getting ready to get on, because I think I just saw it like your supreme focus. And when I talked to you, I knew it just from strictly, and Charlie could even, our mutual friend, Charlie, who also works with Mike, he was there. So we're sitting there having like conversations. We're just geeking each other up. We're talking about stuff, but I could still like see the intensity of like how you were like really going after this, into how I was looking at this in totality of like, hey, this is what I want to do. Like, people, like you were saying about the Marines, is like, people depend on me. If they don't, like, if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, they're going to not be able to, like, they're going to die. Like, I'm not going to be able to serve them in the best way possible. So I've got to bust my ass. So like, just being able to talk to you, I was like, dude, he's got it. Like without a doubt, I knew you were coming home with it anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, nah, Dre, just wait,
Yeah.
fam.
No,
Just
look,
wait. Give it 2 days.
No, he told me very little, he told me like a little, he told me enough to where I was like, yo, give me his contact info. Let me reach out as soon as possible. And I just cause like when he told me, I was like, yo, he's gonna have like a story because that's what this is like for, is I want everybody to be open and transparent about their journey. And I know you do your best to be like humble and stuff, and try to say that you're a regular dude, but you have a lot of
your shit, bro. Talk your shit.
Yo, shit.
No, you I know you want to be the mild mannered, adaptive strongman and everything, but no, you've had a lot of experiences that not a lot of the average American, the average person, the average citizen is gonna really like have. But the cool thing is, you still have things in your life that they can relate to.
Yeah.
Because if you had to, if this might be hard to do, but if you had to, in one sentence or in one phrase, sum up your life up to this point, what would you say? What would you say that is?
God dang. Wow. I got a myriad of emotions going through my head right now. But the same boiling water that softens a potato hardens an egg. It's not about what you're going through. It's about what you're made of. And tough times don't build character. They reveal character. And if you've built it, you've built it, and you're gonna make it through some tough shit. And like there's a gym in Columbus, world famous gym called Westside Barbell, one of the meccas of strength training for the entire planet, for the history of the world. And their motto is "Weak things break."
Ooh.
And I'm not gonna be weak. I'm just not. I've got a son. Best thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life, and changed and saved my life. When I was laying on that concrete floor after the truck hit me, I said to myself, and I told you this already, I said, if you go to sleep, you're going to die. But I told myself, you'll never see your son again. So I got up, and that kid saved my life, So I have a responsibility to impart to him and anybody else that'll listen that we live in a soft society now, and and it's a fast food society. And what I mean by that is we want what we want, and we want it right fucking now. We don't want to wait. We want instant gratification. And the weight room and strongman and athletics and your fitness journey, it's a journey. It's not like right now. You have to delay gratification in order to achieve greatness. So it's one step at a time, one rep at a time, one step on the treadmill at a time. You just got to keep pushing. And you may not see it today, but every day the choices you make are going to get you to where you want to go, or they're not. And so that's it, man. Weak things break. Do hard things. Make yourself tough. The world needs more of that, I think, especially for men that are and
yeah, exactly. So Sloan, for you, because I know you played football and you achieved a very high level. What for you? Was it hard when you had to stop playing football?
Yeah, a lot of my identity was tied up in sports.
Yeah,
so you go from playing sports from, excuse me, I've been playing football since Pee Wee. So I go from Pee Wee to, if I take another hit on my left side, I'll never move it again. So that's kind of hard to go through. So you go from being the man in high school where literally thousands of people came to watch you play on Friday nights. And then thousands of people come watch you play on Saturday mornings and Saturday afternoons to no one even checking on you. So it's a mental thing to go through, to go from being, it's like being a small town six,
Mm-hmm.
and you go to a big town. Well, you're a small town 10, but you're a big city 6. And you went from being a 10 to a 6 in the blink of an eye. And that's kind of how it went. And it's like I went from working out every day to I didn't lift weights for probably a year and a half. And that was even before I can get my arm strong enough to lift. So with the weight gain and stuff like that, I'm still losing weight from 10 years ago. 10, 15 years ago. So it's hard, but now I'm at a comfortable weight. I had ballooned up to almost 400 pounds. And then within like the last 7 years, I've gradually lost 120 pounds.
Good for
So
you, man.
appreciate it.
That's not lightweight. That's
It's
good
not.
stuff.
It's not, but you struggle with it every day. I haven't lifted since the pandemic, so
He does
that's
a
one.
lot of push-ups.
A lot of push-ups, a lot of sit-ups, and the pelotone. But
And then A.Hun, I know you recently had surgery on your like Achilles. How is that? How has the recovery been for you? And are you going to continue to play like soccer, or is this kind of the injury where you're like, "Hey, dog, I think
Oh
I'm done"?
man, you want to know something crazy? I was talking to my girlfriend about this, and um, and having like vulnerable moments because shout out, I have to give like a huge shout out to her because a lot of times like having gone through, like I used soccer, especially after like my divorce. I used soccer as like a way out alongside like podcasting,
Mm-hmm.
just from a mental health standpoint, where it's like, I always use soccer as a way to release any type of stress or anything like that. Um, and then podcasting in the same sense, it's like I got a lot of mental alleviation just from being able to, practice that muscle, so to speak. So having played in, it was just a regular co-ed game, tore my Achilles, and in my mind, there's always been like I don't know what I would be able to do if I were to come across the moment where I couldn't play soccer anymore, right? And like Mike is the prime example of like, what would happen if I were to be in a situation to where it's like potentially I could lose a limb or something like that, where one of your foundations is severely damaged, and I'm constantly thinking about like the rehab and everything like that. But it's the same mindset that Mike's taken with like, his mentality is like, nah, I'm not even worried about it. Like I got too much shit to do. I have too much to do. Like there's too much in my mind. And for me, having played soccer at almost every level, outside of like full professional, international level, anything like that. Like I've been lucky enough to play in multiple countries. I've been lucky enough to coach at a level and have an impact on different people. So it's still there. But I think it's adaptively one of those things to where it's, you know, most people, I think they only look at one avenue, whereas like you could take both Mike and Sloan, where their football prowess, they're thinking like, hey, I'm going to go play in the NFL, or hey, I'm going to go be this professional. Where you have multiple avenues of where you can be a professional, so you have to be able to adapt. And I think that's the biggest thing that all of us have kind of looked at, and it speaks volumes for characters of each person, where it's like it's not maybe necessarily the way that we originally thought, but we just continue to push through the difficulty or obstacle that was put in front of us to keep going. So
Yeah.
yeah, for me, I don't think this is. I know I'm not going to play like professional soccer. At the age that I'm at, I'll soon be 40, but I know that the love for the game is never going to ever dissipate. but I know that like there's still more things that I can do around the sport.
Yeah, like
It's
I mean
just
that's
what can I do?
that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Well, because like for me, I'd be lying if I say that like anytime I watch a professional lacrosse game, whether it's like the Mammoth or it's like any of the PLL teams, I'd be lying if I said it's not hard for me to watch watch them play and think like, oh, that could have been me or I could have reached that level. And you know, before I had my car accident, I was, I was throwing a pity party for myself, honestly. Like we had just I had coached my like first team that year. We were killing it. We were like 7-1, and I told the boys before the tournament started we were going to win the state championship. We were going to do great. We lost like 8-4 against a team that was way better than us, and the coaches were way better than us, and we were just a hodgepodge of myself and then like three dads that were coaching, and I think I took them losing in the championship a lot harder than even they did, and they were like eighth graders, but I took it hard, and I took it. And at that point in time, I viewed anytime we lost as a reflection of me, or like indicative of me and my character, like who I am. And my accident happened, and I was still feeling sorry for myself, throwing a pity party, and like this is why I always tell people God puts the right people in your life when you need to. One of my friends, I'm sitting up there in the hospital, like not not in the hospital, but in the sling they gave me in the hospital, feeling sorry for myself, and he just went off, and he's like, "You are so fucking selfish, you know that?" And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you almost died. You almost died. Like they." Literally, your car was crushed, and they had to use the jaws of life to get you out of the car, and you're sitting up here complaining because you can't do regular stuff instead of being grateful that you're alive. And I was like, well, I was gonna go play lacrosse. I don't want to. Like, what do I have if I don't have that? And he goes, lacrosse is something that you do. It's not who you are. It is what you do, not who you are. And the thing that you love the most is how much of an impact you make on those kids. So get back out there and do that. You can't walk away from that. And I was like, well, dang, I wasn't expecting that. And you know what? Shout out to him. Shout out to Jones for kind of snapping me back to reality and letting me know to kind of get over myself and get back into it. Because honestly, if I didn't have friends like that aren't afraid to hold me accountable, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I don't know if you had a moment like that or not, Mike, where you had to have people around you that were like, "Hey, get it together, dude."
Not like after everything that happened to me, I'm not superhuman, and I went through some pretty dark mental stuff and emotional stuff, but I'm really, really blessed. My wife, she's a mental health therapist, and she's let me know a couple of times, your shit's not right. You better get something. You better deal with that, And like, I'm a real like literal person, and she'll just. I have good people around me that'll just tell me, Mike, you fucking up. So, and that's what I need. And not everybody is as insensitive as I am, but yeah, man, I just the mental side of things, I can be a really selfish person because when I get a goal in my mind and I'm, like I said, single-mindedly and maniacally focused on what I have to do to attain what I want, like other people pay the price for that. And even I pay the price for that. I put some of the stuff I'm going through emotionally out of my mind and I never deal with it. So a funny story, actually, I'm coming back from London, just won the world title. I'm stuck on this plane for 10 hours. And I'm watching the movie Creed 3. And there's a couple of moments in the movie where Michael B. Jordan's character, Adonis Creed, and his wife are arguing and talking and stuff like that. They're interacting. And he's never dealt with his shit, the stuff that traumatized him, but also that he uses for fuel to get him where he went. And it made me realize, I got to get some therapy, bro. So, yeah, there's this stigma in our society, especially for men, about mental health, and you got to get over that shit. You gotta train your brain and train your psyche. Take care of yourself the same way you would your body, or it's not going to perform right. So, men got to get over it. Our society's got to get over it. You got to take care of yourself, man.
I wouldn't have known therapy was okay if when I was when I was in the Air Force. So like with my accident and stuff, I was pretty traumatized. And like I mean so it was an F-150 that hit my Toyota Matrix, and like so for me for a while the mere sight of an F-150 traumatized me. And being in the military, everybody in the military drives 3 cars: Challengers, Chargers, and F-150s. So I saw those on the base, and I mean to the point where like I'd be frozen in fear seeing a truck. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And one time like I refused to leave the building where like our restricted area was because there was a truck parked in the front row, and my supervisor the next day literally was like, yeah, this is a notice from the commander directing you to go see mental health.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's an Article 15. Because at that point in time, it was like 2014 and stuff, and like no one wanted to go to mental health because the minute you booked a mental health appointment, everybody was going to think you're crazy. And I was more worried about what other people would think or associate me with. And I think a lot of it was like, like how you said, men have to get over that shit. Like I was afraid to ask for help. I mean, we live in a society where you as a man normally feel like you can't ask for help.
Yeah.
So that was some shit to deal with.
Our dude, he said something a minute ago about being vulnerable, moments of vulnerability. And like, it's okay to feel a certain way, just don't stay there. So like, I have PTSD, and I deal with some shit. I suffer from bipolar disorder, and I got a lot of stuff going on, but like, you gotta one, stop giving a fuck what people think. And two, listen to the people around you that care about you and they're shooting you the real deal. And if you need help, you got to talk to people, man. Like we said, there's too much emphasis on being strong, and I'm a huge proponent of being a strong, manly, example for my son and my family. But like, weak things break, and if your mind's weak, you got to fix it or it's gonna break. So I just like, we got to start talking about this stuff, because too many guys, no, I'm not talking about that. And like the Will Smith memes when Jada told him,
yeah,
on live TV that she was having an affair, and people made fun of him for having emotions. Or Tyrese, when he said he hadn't seen his daughter in 2 years and had a breakdown, and people made a meme out of it. People don't take men's mental health very seriously, and that needs to change. So
yeah, or even Jason David Frank, Twitch, and most recently like Angus Cloud.
yeah,
Not enough. I feel like, yeah, you're right. Like I feel like it's really disproportionate when it comes to checking on people's mental health, and I just feel like, but I also feel like mental health services in this country should be more affordable for folks, because I think, I've talked to a lot of people. I mean, I'm fortunate to where the VA provides mental health services for me, but not a lot of people are. And the number of times I've told people like, hey, I've been able to deal with this because I also had a therapist that helped me out. The number of times people have said, and even like my mom has even said like, hey, I would do like therapy or talk to somebody if it was more affordable. And that's something that I would like to see change as well.
yeah.
And then Sloan and A.Hun, this question is for both of y'all, but what do you guys, and Mike, you can answer this as well, but what do the three of you guys do to, because everybody hits a wall mentally, and so what do you three do when you feel either like you're approaching that wall or like when you hit the wall?
Drugs.
This guy. Take your meds, man.
Hey, listen, I knew he was going to say that.
You already know how I get down. I try to smoke it away. But outside of that, try to exercise a little more.
Yeah.
instead of doing a 30-minute day on the Peloton, I might have to kick it up to an hour. And in between that, I also do what's that? Resistance bands workouts in between my riding set too. It's not just I don't go to the gym. I have a fear of the gym since COVID because people are nasty. And like you go to the gym and you see a young lady in short shorts and no underwear. You got your coochie slime
Good
on
Lord.
like a bench, and then you don't wipe it off. And like 9 times out of 10, you go to the gym, is some chick that's in there in the way. You're trying to lift, and she comes right in front of you, and she's in her little booty shorts, and you happen to be in the mirror, and now she's in the mirror posing and doing light workouts in front of you, and some women make it uncomfortable for me to go to the gym because I don't want to see your boobs all out and your hoo-ha out. I came to lift weights. I didn't come to this ain't the club. I didn't come to talk to none of y'all. I'm finna put this sweater on, put this hood over my head, and I wear my earbuds so people try to talk to me and I just be looking at them like, what do you want?
Like,
I'm not the guy in the gym to come start a conversation with.
Yeah.
I am, unless it's deadlift or unless it's compound lift day. If it's compound lift day, leave me alone. Any other day, you can usually talk to me for a second.
Right.
A.Hun, what about you? I think he's on mute. Mike, go ahead. Oh no, wait, there's A.Hun. A.Hun, what do you do when you're approaching or when you hit that like wall, like mentally and emotionally?
Good question. So I think the biggest thing is just try and tap into my resources, right? Like the people that I know that can help me get over like the hump, so to speak, or the things that I know that can help me do it. So for me to get stuck into a place where um maybe I'm hitting a block, it's like little stuff. So like when you or Sloan text me, or like even this week, it was just conversations of like, I would see Mike post about his successes while he was in London, and then I'd be like, all right, cool, let me get to work, right? Because at the end of the day, it was just like these little intricate moments of thing that most people would see as minute, but at the same time too, it's like, all right, that's what I needed to see today, right? So it's like the universe is going to push you in the right direction regardless. I think all of us are really, we're the same entity in just a different avatar trying to figure out first player, right? We're all on the same server at the same time trying to get to the same end goal of winning the game, whatever the fuck it is. And we just need that extra push. Either, give you a video game example, if you get a crate drop or if you get like a special bonus or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all really this is, to like break it down simply as I can. So, you just have to be able to take in those moments and then just be like, all right, I can push through it. So for me, those are those things. It's like little stuff. It's little stuff each and every day. And if I enjoy the journey, like, Mike was saying earlier, this is a journey. So you have to enjoy the process of like, having those peaks and valleys, but like the peaks are not going to be as great if you don't have those moments where you're in the valley.
Yeah.
I love that. Mike, what do you do?
I'm a firm believer in discipline over motivation.
Mm-hmm.
There's and consistency. I have ADHD real bad, and there are days when I can't focus, and so I have to be a creature of habit. And the days you don't want to go to the gym, those are the days you got to go to the damn gym. The days you don't want to eat right, those are the days you got to eat right. Because like there's a lot of people in this world that are hungry for success, but they're not hungry for what it takes to be successful. You know what I mean? You gotta love the process, like he said, and the process is greater than the product.
Mm-hmm.
And because and when everything breaks down in your head and you hit that wall and you don't want to do it anymore, you gotta love the grind. You gotta take. It's like going to work. I don't want to go to work. Nobody likes fucking working, man. But you punch your time card and you get your shit done.
Hey,
So,
listen, you cannot cheat the grind. So for anybody listening to this, you cannot cheat the grind. When it comes to like fitness and even life itself, it will not give you what you did not work for. You cannot get upset with the results that you did not get from the work that you did not do.
let's go.
That is shout out to Eric Thomas for that quote, because that is the truest thing. And I tell my lacrosse players, my high schoolers that I coach for lacrosse, whenever because they're high school kids, so they're joking around, they're laughing, they're clowning, it's real hard to keep them focused, especially when you got a team of like 30 kids. So what I tell them is like, hey, this team won the state championship last year. Do you think that they are not taking like in their free time when they're not in practice, they're not throwing throwing the lacrosse balls at the wall, that they're not doing these drills, they're not getting together with their friends? If you guys want to be, and I've told every athlete I've coached, well, no matter what the sport is, if you want to be a champion and you want to be a winner, you have to be willing to put in the work that a champion would, because in life, no matter this everybody's a winner crap needs to stop. But anyway, in life, I tell them in practice, I tell them there are winners, there are losers. Now, I'm not saying that if you lose a game or you lose a competition or whatever, that makes you a loser. No, losing is more often than not a mindset. You can lose. You can experience failures and setbacks, but it's, do you stay in that mindset, or do you redesign, rebuild, reclaim, and find a way to adapt and overcome? That is what will make you a winner or a loser, ultimately.
Yeah, man. I coach high school football and I've coached junior high lacrosse, and like you said, man, like a lot of these kids have league dreams, but backyard work ethic, and like I tell all the kids I coach, man, especially football. And it's football season, so my mind is pretty focused on that right now. But I told my son the other day, because he didn't want to go get some extra work with me in the weight room. He went to morning weight room. He had a break for several hours, then he had to go to practice. And I was like, dude, let's go get some extra work. And he gave me a hard time, like every 14-year-old kid's going to do, But I was like, son, it's every kid in the state of Ohio that plays football worked out this morning. And every kid in the state of Ohio that plays football is going to have practice tonight. What are you doing more than everybody else that's going to make you better than them? And it's not that you, like, every team works out, every team conditions, every team practices, every team does film study. It's not that you do those things. It's at what standard that you hold yourself to when you do those things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the weight room and your buddy does 10 reps, I'm doing 11. That's just what it is. Like I feed off of competition, that's why I love doing what I do. But like, you got to have that dog in you, man. I'm not going to get beat. Will Smith said it best, dude. He's like, if you and me get on a treadmill, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're getting off first or I'm going to die. And that's the mindset you got to have, because like you said, man, there's winners and losers in life. Sit with the winners. The conversations are different. I promise you.
Yeah. Show me who the 5 closest people to you are, and I will show you your future.
Yeah.
Like, who you surround yourself with is like really does reflect who you are. And that's the wonderful thing about this podcasting network that I've been gracious enough to join is, when it comes to Sloan, it comes to A.Hun, our friend Jermaine, and our friend Keys, who's going to be joining, and even the professor's out there grinding across the world. But when it comes to like all of us, we all have a work ethic and a mindset about this that gives us the opportunity and the willingness to succeed. Like, we're not all like exactly where we want to be right now, but I know if we stick to the process, we're going to be just solely off the fact that of like the kind of workers that we are, like, especially with this, like if podcasting don't take off for me, fitness is going to, because I'm a damn good trainer and I've only been training people for like barely a year. But For me, I go in the mindset with, hey, I'm changing lives. Hey, would you relax? I'm going in the mindset like, hey, I'm gonna change your life. Like I told the last person I did a consultation with before they became my client, I was like, hey, look, I know you've been struggling with wanting to lose weight, wanting to be stronger, and wanting to be there for your kids for the last like 10 years. You just told me that you had someone in your family die of like a heart disease, and you don't want that to happen to you. So the question is, how much are you willing to invest in yourself? I'm not even talking about money because I don't want money to stand in the way of you and your goals. I mean, how much time are you going? Because you're not going to see changes if you're only seeing me this many times a week. You have to put the work in outside of it.
Yeah.
You know what? Shout out to Quincy. Shout out to my boy Q. He is making a lot of headway. He came to me at like 414 pounds, and he is we are charging ahead to getting him to 375. I'm real excited for him. I can't wait till he hits that goal. I think he's gonna cry. He's gonna be just that excited. I love he's a grinder. I love that's what I love. My least favorite clients have been people that like don't want to be there or can't match my energy level.
Yeah.
I love when people are as excited about hitting their goals as I am.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like that's the way it is for me in the gym, man. Like attack the weights. You got to have that mindset. It's not just like there's some days, like you said, when you hit a wall and you just grind it out.
Mm-hmm.
But like the majority of the time, your mindset has to, love the process. You got to want it. And like it's sometimes it's hard for me because like with the one arm, like I go in the weight room and I spend a lot of time alone because there's just several types of people and I go to one of the best gyms in the world, top 5 gym on the planet. But like when you got one arm and you're out lifting, like you said, able-bodied people, yes. they don't want to lift with you. They're going to get embarrassed,
insecure.
Yeah, or they like I can't lift with able-bodied people when they do a lot of stuff, like because I don't have 2 arms. So yeah, I spend a lot of time alone, just grinding it out. And you got to want it. You got to love it so much that nothing's going to get in the way.
That is dope. Hey, gentlemen, as we start to wrap up, we're gonna just ask Mike any of these like final questions that we got. Sloan, we'll start with you.
Do you ever fake punch anybody with your with the missing part of your arm? Like you ever try to swing on somebody? Because the only reason I say that is because on my TikTok, there's a guy. I got a video of a guy with one leg. Well, he's missing half of his leg, and he walks around kicking people with that half a leg. That's like fake. Like he was swinging as hard as he can, and people don't realize that he only swinging half a leg, and he's like 6 feet away from him. So, do you ever mess with people like that?
Like me and my friends, we mess around a lot because we have a good time with it because they keep me real, and they're not going to pity me. But I'm a bouncer in a bar. I'm actually, so like I've gotten in fights where like I end up in the full mount on top of somebody, getting ready to just beat their brakes off. And they grab my one arm. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I've literally like rubbed the nub, like right in their eye socket. Just, yeah, there's bone. That's bone right there.
You punch somebody in the face with that nub, it's a wrap.
It's over. I'm not teeth out with this thing.
Yeah. And it's not like he feels it like in your hands, you feel it. But you ever hit somebody with your elbow and you really don't feel the contact? It's like, stop it.
I tell people in the bar,
that was great.
I've told people before, man, they're like, I'm gonna whip your ass. I'm like, dude, there's only like you can't win here. They're like, what do you mean I can't win? You got one arm. I'm like, bro, if you whip my ass, you're a dick. I got one arm. But more than likely, you're going to get beat up by a guy with one arm, and the whole world's going to know about it. He's like, yeah, you're right. I was like, have a nice night. And, okay, I'll be back tomorrow. All right.
That is a lose-lose scenario.
Yeah, you can't,
not wrong.
beating up handicapped
Like,
people or
you
getting beat
gon'
up by handicapped people, you know?
Mike talking about you gonna beat my ass for real?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Like, hey, you better call an army because you about to get.
What are we
You
doing?
better
Yo,
call the police. I'm finna nub you up, bro. Stop
yo,
playing.
getting
all
nubbed
these.
out is crazy.
Yo, that's a tough time.
And I'm dirty. He was like, "Oh, you can get it in the socket." I was like, "Oh, I rubbed like cayenne pepper on my arm before."
What are we even doing right now?
Yo, we are. Yo, nah, bro. Listen, nah, bro. The ADA is about to come after us if we keep talking like this.
Oh man,
Hey,
world champion.
yeah, A.Hun, what's your question for Mike?
Let's see. So Mike, what's next? What's next on your? I guess, do you have a title defense that you're planning on doing next year?
Well, yeah, next year for this, this was called Static Monsters. So it was akin to a strongman like powerlifting contest. It was just static strength measurements, you know. So yeah, I'm going to defend my title next year, depending on where it is. I've automatically qualified as the defending world champ. I don't have to go to the qualifiers or anything like that. But the next thing that's on my mind right now is in 6 weeks in September down in Orlando. It's Magnus for Magnus and Adaptive Strength World Championship. So it's another world title, but it's for a full like functional strength strongman competition. And it's gonna be wild, bro, because like I told you about the GOAT, James Spurgeon, the greatest adaptive strongman of all time. He's coming. It's gonna be me. So James has been a world champion. I'm a world champion. There's another guy from England named Mark Toner, 3-time world champion. He's coming, and we're gonna put on a show, bro. We're gonna bang it out.
Let's go.
Ooh, question before. Is there press passes? If so, can we possibly join?
Yeah. I'm actually the sponsored athlete for the production company putting on this show, so I can call Ralph, and I can be like, hey, can I get some press passes? I got some people that want to come down.
It's up.
Let's go.
Also,
Let's go.
I have a quick question. Are you related to Diehl?
That's one of my cousins actually played left tackle for the New York Giants. Yeah.
What?
And he also went to Northern Illinois University.
Yes,
that's how I know that, because he is a Husky. I am a Husky.
And we're like distant cousins. I've never met the guy, but yeah.
Yo,
man, as soon as I saw the way you spelled your name, I was like, oh, Diehl.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, first and foremost, thank you so much for this. My question for you, if there's anything you would like, what message would you have for anyone that's wanting to get into fitness or going through like a little bit of apprehension towards making any major steps to change their life around from their dissatisfaction with it?
Yeah, man. No matter how slow you go, you're lapping everybody that's on the couch. So if you're not happy where you're at, you know, like I use the analogy that like I knew a guy that was grossly overweight. I don't know what he weighed, 400 or 500 pounds. And he didn't want to go to the gym because he was embarrassed. And that's cool. You know, I get it. So he just made a plan. He's like, I'm emptying my fridge. He emptied his fridge out, emptied his cupboards out. And every time he had to eat, he would get up. He would walk 2 miles to the Walmart, buy only what he wanted to eat. And he'd walk 2 miles home three times a day. And, you know, baby steps. That's all he did. Baby steps. Just keep on moving. And eventually you'll get there. So this, again, discipline over motivation, you know, and just keep grinding. One baby step at a time. You don't got to be crazy gifted or talented, but like you're a trainer. And 90%, this is what I found, and I'm a certified strength coach. I can train you all day. I can't control what you put in your mouth when you're not around me. And 90% of your success is going to be related to your diet and what you do in the kitchen. So food is fuel. It's not there for comfort. It's not there for anything other than to fuel the mechanism to, So keep on grinding, watch what you eat, drink a lot of water, all the basic shit.
I love that. I love that. Hey, once again, thank you everyone for joining us. This has been the Aim High podcast with Dre. While you are here, remember to check out the other podcasts that we have on our network. That is the Sushio Boys podcast, which is going to drop on Tuesdays. The Drelax podcast, which drops on Wednesdays. The Pay Window with Prof and Sloan, which drops on Thursdays. The Shogun Soccer Sit Down, which drops on either Fridays or Saturdays, depending on what day A.Hun wants to drop it. And then the C.D.B podcast, which again drops on Fridays or Saturdays, whatever day A.Hun chooses. I am Dre. Thank you so much, everyone that's been a part of this. This has been another Aim High podcast.
Middletown, Ohio, exit 32.
Stand up. Let's go.